Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Adam here, and today I just wanted to do a different video. And this is a video that I've been wanting to make for a little while. So yeah, let's just get started. If you guys don't know, that I really like OnePlus. Like, I still really like OnePlus and all this stuff, and I really like their company and what they've been doing. However, I don't really like what they've been doing recently. I've liked what they did earlier this year and things like that, but there's some concerning things about what I think about OnePlus in the future, and then I'm gonna talk about another company after this. Yeah, let's get started. OnePlus was actually made in 2014, and they made the OnePlus One. And so, after that, during the OnePlus One, they had Cyanogen OS, and Cyanogen OS was kind of a custom ROM that was based on stock Android, but had a lot of extra features, and it looked a little bit different than stock Android. Then they actually made their own OS called Oxygen OS that was even closer to stock Android, but they added some extra cool features, things like that. Now let's talk about what's concerning with OnePlus now. So actually, before I get into that, I want to talk about my OnePlus 7 Pro and what my experience has been so far. So my experience with the OnePlus 7 Pro has been absolutely great. It's been really good. I like basically everything about it. I like the cameras, I really like the performance, I really like all that stuff. But I want to talk about what's heading for OnePlus in the future. So what's heading for OnePlus in the future, in my opinion, is that I think they're going down kind of a downhill kind of trend. I don't know if this is just me, but could just be me. They might go up, but like, I'm seeing that they're going in a different direction than I would personally want it to. Like, it's a downfall trend for me. For other people, it might be, really good. And, yeah, but the thing that I'm talking about is, as you know, the OnePlus launch event I believe, on October 14th is happening. And so they're actually, normally OnePlus releases a OnePlus, well, this year's would be a OnePlus 8T and a OnePlus 8T Pro, right? Well, no. The OnePlus 8T is going to be released, but not the OnePlus 8T Pro. That's my first problem. And I'll go into the next problems, and I'll explain the first problem a little bit later. But my second problem is, and this is the main problem, is that it seems like OnePlus is starting to get into the budget kind of category, because, as you know, the OnePlus Nord got released in July, I think, and so it got released in July, and so OnePlus said that they're gonna make a Nord in the U.S., and they didn't say how many, but it seems like they're gonna release 2, maybe 3 Nord devices that are all budget, and so that's fine, but I think that's a little bit too much, and I think that it would be fine maybe if they added the OnePlus 8T Pro too, because, right, because like, so they're still sticking to the flagship territory, but it seems like they're going to the budget category, and so that's why I'm concerned about that OnePlus 8T Pro. I'm concerned about, it's not happening. It actually got confirmed by Carl Pei and Pete Lau, I believe, and they said it themselves. OnePlus 8T Pro is not coming. So that's really concerning. So OnePlus is lowering their prices. However, their budget phones, I'm, to be honest, not really impressed. What I've seen so far that's going to be released, I'm not really impressed. So the first phone, I believe, is I'm going to talk about the most budget OnePlus Nord, and that is the OnePlus Clover, OnePlus N100 or something like that. And so that's supposed to have a Snapdragon 460, like 4 gigabytes of RAM, 64 gigabytes of storage, or maybe 128. But yeah, 64 gigabytes of storage, and so it should be a sub $200 price range. But the problem is that they were doing all these things about, they were talking about, oh, we have an AMOLED screen, all these people don't, for the OnePlus Nord, for their, higher end OnePlus Nord. But now with their, less higher end OnePlus Nord, they're doing LCD. Like, that's not really like them. And they're kind of becoming almost like a Realme company, if that makes sense. They're becoming too budget, and it seems like they're going too budget. Seems like they're going to be similar to what Realme's becoming. See, Realme mostly makes these super, super budget phones, but the problem is that I'm not really into the market for that. Like, barely. And so, what I feel like what's gonna happen is that they're not gonna focus on their flagship products as much anymore, and so they're not gonna be as good year after year, and so they're gonna, the basically the Nord devices are gonna be released more and more of them, and so it's I just don't like that because I'm not in the market for a OnePlus Nord, N100. I mean, I don't want a Snapdragon 460. That's really, really slow. I mean, it's ridiculously so. And so even, with that 90 hertz, it's not going to be good. Yeah, so, I mean, 90 hertz and the Snapdragon 460, that's not a good combination. For 90 hertz, you need a high-end processor because so the 90 hertz can run smoothly. But what I feel is that the 90 hertz is going to be super laggy. You're going to have a cheap LCD screen. It's going to be 720p. It's not going to be good. And Realme and these, Realme V3, that's a phone. It's doing the same kind of thing. I think it's just going to be basically a copy of the Realme V3 or one of the Oppo, A series devices, I believe. The Oppo A53 or something like that, where they have these really cheap 90 hertz displays and they don't run well, and they're using the Snapdragon 460 and stuff like that, and the Snapdragon 460 can't handle a 90 hertz display, like, at all. Like, you need a really high-end processor. Even, like, the Realme 6, for example, or the Realme 7, they have 1080p, 1080p 90 hertz displays, and they have, a Helio G90T or G95, actually, I think. And so those are really, really nice processors. I mean, they're not like, flagship or anything, but they're really, really on par with something like the Snapdragon 720G, 730G, and that's way higher end than 460. The 460 is a whole tier below that. And so if OnePlus isn't even going to be making as good devices as Realme or anything like that, it's just not going to be that good. So, and yeah, so that's what I think. But, yeah, now let's talk about the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. So, actually, this isn't a terrible, this isn't really going to be a terrible device, and I think it's going to get really, really popular reviews. I mean, it's going to be really, really popular and have really high reviews and things like that and all these things, but once again, I'm not in the market for, Snapdragon 690. And actually, Snapdragon 690 is a total capable processor. However, I already have a OnePlus 7 Pro, so why would I downgrade to the Snapdragon 690? And it does seem like an okay device. It's just not really, really OnePlus, It's not really like OnePlus really used to be, where they really dedicated to make, really high flagship, phones. And so, example, actually, even if, when OnePlus was, making these flagship things, they actually made a true flagship killer, the OnePlus X, if you remember that. And that still had a flagship processor. It had, I think, the year previous of what the current generation was at the time, flagship processor. So it was still good. It would be like if they put the 855 processor in, 2020, basically. So, yeah, it's like still a really great processor. But what the Nord's doing is that they're putting, like really, really not super high-end processors. And by the way, yeah, the Snapdragon 690 is a capable processor. Once again, the 855, 865, 845, probably even the 835 in some cases is better than, the Snapdragon 690. And the only thing that the Snapdragon 690 has really going for it is 5G, and that's basically it. So, now that we've talked about, the OnePlus Nord devices, and I don't, there's not too many rumors about the OnePlus Nord 2, but I'm assuming that it's going to come maybe in December or very early next year. So, yeah. But, now let's talk about the OnePlus 8T. And so I have some problems with the OnePlus 8T. First problem, it seems like they're copying Samsung a little bit too much. So, an example is, and this is the main example, is that they're going to use a squared off camera. And so, squared off camera, not good. And the other thing is that they're replacing, they're trying to make really a high-end camera. This is supposed to be like a kind of a flagship's phone, right? I mean, this is a phone that's going to be probably in the $750 price range. And so what you're getting is not really high-end cameras. The main camera is completely fine. However, the other cameras aren't high-end, like, at all. I mean, the 13-megapixel ultra-wide, it's fine. It's okay. I think it's either 13 megapixels or 8 megapixels. It's fine. It's not great. It's okay. But you can find way better camera, ultra-wide cameras at that price. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about that later. But, yeah. Then they also have, of course, the 5-megapixel macro and the 2-megapixel depth. Which, I'm just going to say it, those are completely useless. Completely. And so, that's actually a problem that I had with the OnePlus Nord, and probably soon to be the OnePlus Nord N10 and the N100 are going to probably have these, really useless 2-megapixel macro and depth cameras that no one's going to use because, example, the depth camera, you don't need a depth camera. You could use a telephoto camera that's way more useful. It has, it's better than a depth camera. You could actually zoom in and it's optical, so it looks about the same as the main camera when you're zooming in, to a certain amount of times. And even if they just put a 2 times telephoto camera, I'd be perfectly happy with that. But they're not going to do that because, as we've seen with the rumors, and almost all the time the rumors are right, like almost every single time for OnePlus, the rumors are right. Not for every single company, but specifically for OnePlus, yeah, all the rumors are right. So yeah, this is happening for sure. And so that's a really big problem. Then, the other problem is that they're switching to flat screens. Like, completely flat screens. Now, most people I know really like flat screens because they think curved screens don't, they're really, really useless. They, etc., right? But, the curved screens are really, really nice. If you have, good, if you could, tell if your phone can tell, when either your hand, your fingers touching the screen or just one of your palms or something like that is touching the screen, while you're holding the phone, without touching the screen. So, yeah, but usually curved screens, like the OnePlus 7 Pro has a great curved screen. I love the OnePlus 7 Pro. Like, I really like this OnePlus 7 Pro. But, yeah, so that's one of the main problems that I really don't like, because they're switching to flat screens, and I think they're going to do the same with maybe the OnePlus 9 and OnePlus 10 and OnePlus 11 and OnePlus whatever. you know, not a big fan of that. Like, I really just don't like that they're gonna not add a curved screen. They're gonna add a flat screen, which is just disappointing to me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of flat screens. I can't stand flat screens, actually. Um, I mean, I've been kind of spoiled with my OnePlus 7 Pro, where it has a curved screen, it looks really nice, and things like that. And as long as you're using a case or something like that, once again, the curves really aren't that bad. But anyway, yeah. So there's all those problems, and then there's one more problem, and this is another kind of a big problem, and that is Oxygen OS 11. So, as I said in the beginning of the video, Oxygen OS has usually been very close to stock Android, and so I like that. And so, but what I don't like is OnePlus copying other companies. So what I don't like, and they're moving away from stock Android, which actually isn't that big of a deal for me, and I'll talk about that later. But the OnePlus Oxygen OS is becoming more of a One UI, and I do not like One UI. Like, I really like Samsung devices on their own, and I really like the Note 20 Ultra, S20 Ultra. I really like the S20, S20 Plus. I really like all those phones, and I don't really like the S10 Plus or the Note 10 Plus, but whatever. Yeah. I really just don't like One UI. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know what it is. I hate One UI. I absolutely hate it. And OnePlus is going towards One UI, and seems like they're going to continue that way, as Carl Pei, I believe, or Pete Lau said in an interview to someone. They said that they're moving away from stock Android, and they're adding all these, features that are really similar to One UI. But like I said, I really don't like One UI. Like, One UI is just really, really complicated. I don't like their menus. I don't really like basically anything about One UI, and that's why I don't switch. I didn't switch, to a Galaxy S20 or anything like that, because I just hate One UI and I can't stand it. Anyway, now let's go into the main thing that I'm going to be talking about today. And by the way, yes, I do know that this video is ridiculously long. It's probably going to be like a 30-minute video or so. It'll probably take forever to, import to YouTube, but whatever. Let's talk about Xiaomi. Xiaomi is an amazing company. And so, I think the first time I got impressed by Xiaomi was the Xiaomi Redmi Note 7. When I had my iPhone 6s, it had really terrible battery life. And so I was looking for a phone that had great battery life and, great everything. And so Xiaomi made this Redmi Note 7 and Redmi Note 7 Pro, and I was like, that's pretty impressive. I mean, I was like, that's a pretty great phone. I mean, it has great specs. I mean, it has Snapdragon 660, which, yes, wasn't too good, but it was better than the iPhone 6s performance. It had a great battery. It had, great everything, and it was like a $150 price tag. So that's like an amazing deal. And then there's the Redmi Note 7 Pro, which was about $200. And so that was even a better deal. It had Snapdragon 675, I believe. Snapdragon 675. Let me think what else. It had... Oh, right. It had a 48 megapixel main camera. That was crazy and was really good. It was IMX 582. I mean, obviously, it wasn't as good as the IMX. Actually, no, it was about as good as the IMX 586, with just a couple of things missing, like a 4K 60 video recording. But besides that, it's actually really similar to this OnePlus 7 Pro's camera. And the Redmi Note 7's only, or the Redmi Note 7 Pro was only like $200, and it was really, really impressive. Not only that, I really like its software. Like, okay, the software at the beginning of the Redmi Note 7 and the Redmi Note 7 Pro wasn't that good. MIUI, I think it was 9 or 10 at the time, wasn't that good. But they've made so many improvements with MIUI 11 and 12 that is just really, really great. Like, I love the live wallpaper animations, getting into the phones where the planet transitions into, the planet, like, going into the planet, basically. It's really, really cool. But, yeah, MIUI 12, really, really awesome. And so, and actually, the Redmi Note 7 had a similar kind of design to the OnePlus Nord. It had glass back, glass front, and then plastic sides. But I didn't really mind I didn't actually try this phone, but I have seen reviews. I have seen, like, really, really in-depth looks of what it's like, non-biased reviews and things like that. It's a really, really great phone. However, I didn't switch to it because I really liked this Oxygen OS stock Android feel, but now I'm kind of going into, I want to customize a little bit more. I want to do a little bit more, but I don't like One UI. Just plain out, do not like One UI. But what I've seen so far, I really like MIUI 12 because it's really, really cool. I really like the live wallpapers. I keep saying it. I really like the animations around it. And MIUI 12, what I've heard, is really, really, really smooth. Like, really smooth. It's really impressive. But yeah, like I said, I wanted stock Android, I wanted all this stuff, but now MIUI is really great, and there's some really awesome added features that I'm really impressed by and things like that. But, yeah. Now, let's talk about, I think, the next phone that impressed me. That was the Xiaomi Redmi K30 Ultra, but there are some problems with it. But if I go to the next device, you guys, this is an impressive phone, and I have talked about it in a YouTube video before. But anyway, let's talk about the Redmi K30 Ultra. So the Redmi K30 Ultra started at a $289 price tag. Now, let's compare some phones that, let's talk about some other phone price tags, basically. Okay, let's talk about the OnePlus Nord. Soon to be OnePlus N10 5G or whatever. Those phones have a Snapdragon 690, Snapdragon 730G, whatever, 765G. But Xiaomi made a really interesting decision that I really like. They added a flagship processor. They added not the Snapdragon processor, they added a MediaTek processor. Now, a ton of people don't like MediaTek, but MediaTek, I have to tell you, has been really impressive lately. I've actually tried some MediaTek phones. I looked at the Dimensity 1000L on the LG Velvet, I believe, or 1000 something, I forgot. Or 1000C, I think it was. 1000C on the LG Velvet. It was really great. Like, it was pretty fast, and it was actually faster. I found out the Dimensity 1000C was a mid-range processor, but it was faster than the 765G and 768G even. So, yeah, really impressive there. But they have this other processor, the Dimensity 1000 Plus, which they added in the Redmi K30 Ultra. And if you guys don't know what the Dimensity 1000 Plus is, it's a really great chipset. Besides the Snapdragon 865 and 865 Plus, there's really no better processor. I mean, even the Cure 990 5G, like, that's not even as good as the Dimensity 1000 Plus. In terms of single and multi-core scores, and for Geekbench and also for Antutu Benchmark, I believe you can get 537,000 points with the Dimensity 1000 Plus, which is just insane. And you could also get tons of other stuff, like it still has really good, kind of like heat. I don't know what it's called. Like, it could keep the phone cool. I don't know why people say it heats, like, MediaTek phones heat up a lot. It doesn't, really. It doesn't at all. Because I used the LG Velvet pretty heavily because I wanted to try it out. Because I went to the T-Mobile store and I tried it out for like 15 minutes, opening tons of web browsers and things like that. Worked completely fine. So, without a problem. And that was the 1000C. So, the Dimensity 1000 Plus is even more impressive. With better heat management. That's what it is. Heat management. But yeah, there are some problems, but before I actually get into the problems, I want to talk about some things. First, the screen. It's 1080p at 120 hertz, which is great. But, okay, I guess I will talk about some of the problems, during I'm talking about, some of the sections. The problem with the display is that, first of all, it gets to 500 nits, which is actually fine. And actually, I believe you can get to peak brightness of, 1000. So, still pretty good. But the main problem is that it has a flat display. So, not that good there. And I was complaining a lot about OnePlus's, flat displays and things like that. But at least, the K30 Ultra has the Dimensity 1000 Plus. Really, really impressive. So, some other things. The camera. The main camera sensor is pretty good. And it's probably going to be better than any kind of Nord device. But the problem is that they add the 5-megapixel telephoto macro, which I guess is, I'm not really sure. I don't know if it does optical zoom or not. It may do optical zoom, and if so, it's pretty good, actually. If it does optical zoom, but I don't know if it does. But then we also have a depth camera, which, yeah, that makes me believe that the telephoto macro, it's just a macro, and they just called it a telephoto macro, so they could say, oh, we have a telephoto macro camera. So, yeah. But, so, we basically got through the Redmi K30 Ultra. That's all the things. With the Redmi K30 Ultra at a $289 price tag, really great deal. And I would say it's better than any kind of deal that, OnePlus is going to give or anything like that, because OnePlus is doing the Snapdragon 690 with their N10. It's probably going to be the same exact price, or close to the same price. Maybe the N10 might actually be more in price. And that has the refresh rate isn't as high, and it still has a flat display. They both have flat displays, and, some other stuff. But I think the biggest thing, and now I'm going to get onto my main device that I'm going to talk about, that is, you may have guessed it, I don't know, the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. It's a really, really, really good phone. Okay, a lot of people complain about this phone. I would say that, actually, I wouldn't say that too many people complain about this phone. Actually, the main thing that people complain about is that that 120 times zoom, which I'm going to talk about later, is not good, and it's just for advertising or whatever. And what else? They complain that it's a China only phone, but that's another thing I'm going to talk about after I talk about the main things about the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. So the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has, first of all, a curved screen, so that's one really good thing. Another really good thing is a 1080p 120Hz display with HDR10 Plus and I believe 10-bit color depth. I forgot. And it has some really, really great things. It gets super bright. Yes, 1080p 120Hz. I know 1080p isn't that impressive. And actually, I think that was one of the things people were complaining about. But, Samsung devices have 1080p at 120 hertz. And yeah, I know you could do 1440p at 60 hertz, but you can't do 1440p at 120. So it's basically, everyone's going to use 1080p at 120. So, yeah. And, it's sharp enough. I mean, it has, I believe, 390 ppi, or pixels per inch. And so that's actually completely fine. That's more than sharp. That's really sharp. I mean, 326 ppi is anything that is considered, really, is called retina, and it's really, really impressive. And, yeah, so, really impressive there. So then, let me think what else. You also have the cameras, and I think this is where Xiaomi does the best, and even with the 120 times zoom. So, the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has first a main 48 megapixel camera, and no, don't be confused like, oh well, between the Note 20 Ultra and the Mi 10 Ultra. Oh wait, which has the better camera? Oh well, the Note 20 Ultra because it has more megapixels. No, not at all. The 48 megapixel main camera is absolutely incredible. Like, really, really incredible. And so this can do some insane things. I think one of the main things that it could do is, okay, it could take really, really, really good 12 megapixel 4:1, I think, bin shots. I'm not that good at that stuff, but it could take really, really amazing shots, and it's really detailed 12 megapixel shots, and it's just amazing how good it is. So, actually, now that I think about it, this video is going to go on for a really long time. I probably should have just done a live stream or something like that, because this is going to go on for like 45 minutes. Jesus. We still have to talk about the whole part of the Xiaomi ecosystem and all this stuff like that. So, yeah, but it has, the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra has some really great things. So, I was talking about the 12 megapixel or bin shots, and the 48 megapixel main camera. But now let's talk about the ultra-wide camera. The ultra-wide camera is just crazy and just insane. There's so much detail, even at night. There's a night mode for it, by the way, which, yes, a lot of phone manufacturers do, and a lot of phone companies do have an ultra-wide night mode. But this ultra-wide night mode is really great. And, yeah, it's just really, really amazing. So, yeah, it's 20 megapixels in day. Sometimes it's actually almost as good as the 48 megapixel main camera, just because it has maybe even more saturated colors, which some people don't like saturated colors, but I love saturated colors. And even though it has a little bit less dynamic range, it's still really great, and it has one of the widest fields of view at 127 degrees, which I absolutely love. I mean, that's basically like how you have in the camera app where you have, you could go from 1 times to 0.5 times. This is like 0.4 times or 0.3 times. This is really, really, really a wide field of view. Comparing to most that have, 115 degree field of view, or 120. This has 127. That's way better, and it's super sharp still. So now let's talk about the telephoto cameras. So the telephoto cameras, you have a 2 times 12 megapixel telephoto camera, and then a 48 megapixel 5 times periscope zoom camera. And this camera setup, this whole telephoto camera setup, is crazy good. And it's just so great. I think the best thing about the 48 megapixel periscope. Sorry, my I guess video stopped for some reason. I don't know why. But the 48 megapixel telephoto camera is just so crazy. You can get super detailed shots, and it's actually sharp from, usually some manufacturers or phone companies have, 1 5 times telephoto, and then that's it. And then, if you wanted to do a 3 times image, something like that, you would have to digitally crop. But since they not only have a 2 times and a 5 times optical zoom, then it looks sharp all throughout all the, 1 through 5 times. I mean, it looks super sharp. And then even at like 7.5 times or 8 times zoom, you're getting a super, super clear shot, and just really amazing what you could do with this camera. Enough talking about the camera. Let's see what else. Gaming performance is absolutely insane with the Snapdragon 865. Because, they didn't add the Dimensity 1000 Plus because they had a little bit more money to spend. And by the way, this phone is way cheaper than any of its competitors. It's like $750, I believe. Or no. Yeah, $750 or $760 something. I forgot. But if you wanted to actually buy in the US, you have to pay a little bit more money, which I'm going to talk about again. Yeah. Okay. I'm talking way too much. But, let's see. So, basically, in conclusion, the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra is an insane phone. You have crazy specs. You can do 120 times zoom. You can do all these things. Just amazing phone. So, now let's talk about a couple more things. Yeah, I know this video is going on for so long. Okay. Let's talk about a couple more things. And let's talk about the Xiaomi Mi Box S. So, if you don't know what a Xiaomi Mi Box S is, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys don't, it's kind of like a Chromecast, or an Apple TV. So, you just do the same kind of things. It's like it's like kind of for a smart TV where you plug in through HDMI, and then you could do some things. You could watch Netflix, YouTube, play games, and stuff like that. But the price is $49, and so this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm officially going to make the pretty slow transition over to Xiaomi over the next couple of what do I say? Couple of probably months, or maybe even a year. And the first thing that I'm going to be starting with, that I'm going to be transitioning to, is the Xiaomi Mi Box S. From actually nothing, but this is going to be the start of my Xiaomi ecosystem almost. So my Xiaomi setup is going to first consist of the Mi Box S. So I'm most likely going to get it just as a simple thing for probably, December, Christmas, or whatever. Just because it's a really, really cheap, smart Chromecast thing. So it's really, really good, and I've always kind of needed it because my main desktop computer, it's kind of complicated because I always have to use my monitor for something. But now if I have my Mi Box S, I'm probably gonna get another monitor because my current monitor doesn't have HDMI. So right now I'm using it for a project. I'm gonna give you guys like kind of what I'm doing. Just really quick summary. I'm actually making basically a Power Mac G4. It's really, really impressive. It's not really that impressive. I'm just basically I bought a really inexpensive Power Mac G4 that was supposed to be for parts at an e-waste for $30, and so it's a really great deal. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about for that. But anyway, yeah, so I'm always using that, and I'm probably gonna get another monitor. And so the other monitor that I already have, just probably gonna use it for my Power Mac. I'll probably put it downstairs or something. I don't know. But yeah. So the Xiaomi Mi Box S is a really great piece of technology for a really cheap price. Like, you can get it at Walmart or Best Buy or Target, I believe, for $49.99. That's it. You can get it for a super cheap price. There's nothing really that cheap. Besides, I think maybe like a Chromecast might be like $30, but still, you're getting some really awesome added features, and you could do gaming, and you can pair your Bluetooth controller. So yeah, pretty awesome there. So that's I'm probably gonna get at the end of this year. So that's my first transition. My second transition to Xiaomi is gonna be probably from my OnePlus 7 Pro to my Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. If I will most likely get it, and I'll most likely buy it. That's what I'm saying. So, for the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra, it's really really great phone. So you might be like, why would you switch from your OnePlus 7 Pro to your Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra? Well, I need to do the Xiaomi ecosystem, and so the problem with OnePlus, they have kind of an ecosystem. Not really. Like, it would be cool if I could maybe I can make a OnePlus ecosystem, but I can't really because they don't have a tablet, don't have a laptop, don't have all this stuff. Yeah, I can't really do that. But, and also, I was saying, before for the past like 30 minutes, why, I'm kind of leaving OnePlus. So yeah, this is going to be the hardest transition. That's going to be from my OnePlus 7 Pro to the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra. So this will happen quite a bit later. I think I will most likely get the Xiaomi Mi 10 Ultra in either June, July, or August of 2021. Because by that point, the OnePlus 7 Pro is going to stop receiving security updates, so my phone's going to start to get outdated, it's going to start to get a little bit slower, and it's going to start going to we'll start going to Android 11. And so with Android 11, like I said, is Oxygen OS 11, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm going to start to get sick of this One UI knockoff. So, yeah. So, it's just like there's so many things to talk about. So, there's that. And then my final transition, probably for the foreseeable future, is going to be from, I know people are going to get super, super triggered from, okay, I can't even say, okay, yeah, from my iPad Air 2 to a Xiaomi Mi Pad 4. Yeah, and you might be like, wait, what are you doing? And so I asked that same question, what would I be, why would I ever do that, even think that? All the Apple people are going to be like, Adam, what the hell's wrong with you? So, anyway, yeah, so I'm switching from I will most likely be switching from my iPad Air 2 to the Mi Pad 4. It's going to be insane. So, you might be like, well, why would you ever switch from your iPad Air 2 to the Mi Pad 4? Well, main reason why is because of the Xiaomi ecosystem. And so, I want all my devices to be connected. The problem with me just owning an iPad and then Android devices or whatever is that I can't connect my messages, I can't connect, a ton of other stuff, I can't connect, most of my data and things like that. So that's the main problem. And then the second problem is that actually, and you guys are also going to get triggered by this most likely, but the main problem is that my iPad Air 2 is going to stop receiving iOS updates. But you might be like, who cares? It's iOS 14, it's really, really good, and you still have, a couple of years of support. It's going to start to get slower. Just no doubt about it. My iPad Air 2 is going to start to get slower. So it's not really about the updates. It's about my iPad Air 2 is starting to get slower with iOS 14. You can tell by, RAM management and, response, time opening up apps and glitchiness or lagginess and stuff like that. So, and I didn't actually think iOS 14 was that impressive for iPhones. It was pretty impressive, but for tablets or iPads, not that impressive. So, yeah, but with the Mi Pad 4, we might get an Android 9 update, but it's okay because this Mi Pad 4 is actually really great because even though it is on MIUI 10, I believe, MIUI 10 is actually still pretty good, even though I did say stuff about MIUI 9 and MIUI 10. I think I was mostly talking about MIUI 9. MIUI 9 is pretty complicated. I don't think it has an app drawer. I don't know if MIUI 10 actually has an app drawer, but MIUI 10 is a lot more simple. It's a lot better than MIUI 9. So, yeah, still pretty good there, and it still has gestures, by the way. And, yeah. Alright. So, I think that's all I have to talk about. Let me think. Yeah, but just to recap, or basically to end this video, just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for 320 subscribers. I've been saying that in the last couple of my videos. And the other thing is, consider switching to Xiaomi. I mean, the Mi Pad 4 has some pretty great things going on for it. I actually forgot to talk about the specs. Snapdragon 660, 4GB of RAM, 64GB of storage, 13 megapixel main camera, 5 megapixel front facing. That's the other thing. I probably need a better camera setup. I mean, I actually use my iPad Air 2 a lot for B-roll and stuff like that. I mean, I use it a lot for, recording my videos most of the time. If I'm recording a video about OnePlus 7 Pro or my OnePlus 7 Pro is dead and I can't record with it, then I just use my iPad Air 2. Also, if I do streams, then I use my iPad Air 2. Yeah. So, the iPad Air 2 has the 8X, and so it's getting old and things like that. So, basically, I think I'm going to end this video because now I've talked about everything. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys think that, Xiaomi's terrible or Xiaomi's great? Or do you guys agree with my transition from OnePlus to Xiaomi? Let me know in the comments below. That's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later.